The key to continued optimum performance from your new Shay is regularly scheduled maintenance. As it comes from the factory, your new Shay will require lubrication before you run it for the first time. Failure to perform this initial lubrication may result in damage to your locomotive, so please follow the following steps carefully. You should also lubricate your Shay after every 10 or so hours of actual running time, or as needed. The product engineers at Bachmann have designed your new Shay so that lubricating it is a series of simple steps. To complete the lubrication procedure, you will need a flat, clean work surface such as a countertop or workbench and a fluffy towel. You will also need plastic-compatible lubricants. We recommend Bachmann's line of Easy Lube professional lubricants. However, any plastic-compatible products will do. Remember, all of the Shay's parts and lubrication points can be seen in the exploded view diagrams included in the instruction manual. To lubricate your Shay for its first run, reach under the ends of the locomotive frame and gently lay the locomotive on the towel on its side so that the cylinders are facing up towards the ceiling. Now that you have the Shay in position for lubrication, please notice the lubrication plugs on the bottom of the power truck covers. You will now need to remove these plugs. You should not remove the bottom cover plates for any reason. All necessary lubrication can be completed through the lubrication ports in the cover plate. To remove the plugs, gently pry up one edge with either a flat-bladed screwdriver or your fingernail. Grasp the raised edge and gently pull the plug from the hole. Follow the same procedure for each plug. We will now work on these areas: the rear truck, the center cylinders and the front truck, and the complete drive line. First, take your light gear oil and lubricate all of the cylinder's moving parts. These include all of the rivets, piston rods, and valve guides. Put a single drop of oil on each of the bearing surfaces. You don't want to overdo it, so only put a drop on each part. Over-lubrication can be just as damaging as no lubrication, so use the oil sparingly. Next, we will use the heavy-duty gear oil to lubricate the rest of the drive system. Start by putting a drop of oil on each of the crown and pinion gears. Also be sure to put a drop of oil where the line shaft enters the journal boxes, on the front and rear, both inside and outside of the gear cover. Then put a touch of oil on the drive axles where they exit the metal power truck housing. Be sure to do both axles on both sides of the motor housing. Remember to lubricate the other power truck using the same procedures. Now, put a drop of heavy gear oil on each of the exposed surfaces on the crankshaft located just below the cylinders. It is from this point that all power to the cylinders is applied. Once again, a drop or two at each point is adequate. Next, disconnect the drive shaft that connects the power truck to the cylinders. To do this, grasp the power truck and turn it slightly so that the shaft can easily slide out of the universal sleeve as shown here. These parts separate easily, so there's no need to force them apart. Put a drop of oil onto the drive shaft. Now, it's time to work through the lubrication ports on the bottom cover of each power truck. First, using your Easy Lube heavy-duty gear oil, put a drop of oil on the motor drive shaft where it exits the motor housing. Next, put a drop of heavy gear oil on the spur gear, which is at the end of the motor drive shaft. Next, put a drop of oil on the primary gear on each drive axle. Also, put a drop of oil on the ends of each drive axle where the ball bearing races are located and where the axle exits the power truck housing. Be sure to perform this procedure through the lubrication ports on both ends of the power truck. Next, lubricate the power truck bearing surface where it connects to the frame. Once again, be sure to follow the same procedures on the other power truck. For the next segment, we will use Bachmann's Easy Lube gear grease. This lubricant won't sling off or dissipate at high running temperatures. The best method to apply this material is by using a thin wooden applicator like this. If you don't have one available, then a toothpick, coffee stirrer, or even the tip of your screwdriver will suffice. First, lubricate the exposed crown gear using a moderate amount of grease. After running the locomotive for a few minutes, the grease will be distributed throughout the crown and pinion gears. Follow this process for both the front and rear trucks. Next, using a moderate amount of grease, coat the drive shaft and insert it into the sleeve by rotating the power truck gently. Work the shaft in and out. Remove any excess grease. Now, again working through the lubrication ports, put a small amount of Easy Lube gear grease on the primary gear on the drive axle. The grease will be distributed to the other gears on the idler axles as the Shay is run. Again, be sure to perform this procedure on both drive axles in each power truck. Now, replace the lubrication plugs by simply pushing them firmly back into their holes in the bottom of the power truck cover plate. Double check that you have lubricated all of the required parts. Now you are ready to apply the conductive lubricant. Bachmann Easy Lube Conductive Contact Lubricant enhances electrical conductivity and will decrease the amp draw of your Shay. The conductive lubricant is highly concentrated. First, put a single drop on each of the wheel treads. Next, put a drop of conductive lubricant on the back of each wheel. Friction is metal's worst enemy, so we recommend that you perform this electrical conductive maintenance every 5 to 6 hours of operation or as needed. When operating outdoors under high temperatures and other environmental conditions, there's a lot of friction, wear, and evaporation. More frequent lubrication may be required. That's it! Your new Spectrum Shay is ready for its inaugural run. Put her on your tracks and let her go. By lubricating your Bachmann Spectrum Shay on a regular basis, you can have a lifetime of fun, performance, and satisfaction with this outstanding locomotive model. Be sure to fill out and send in your warranty card. And don't forget to check out all of Bachmann's other outstanding large-scale products at your local hobby retailer or at www.bachmanntrains.com. Thank you again for buying the new Bachmann Spectrum Shay. Now that's the way to run a railroad.